Okay, so listen, I know it's getting harder and harder to know what you can trust and what you should trust and what you should be caring about, what you should be listening to. That's why I'm here. On this week's episode of Everybody's Lying, I'm going to get into why I don't give a fuck about Jeffrey Epstein, and you probably shouldn't either. Also, how the hospital made me feel like a brokey, and I think I may have found where all the real natural booties went. Stick around to the end of the episode if you want to find that out. It's Everybody's Lying. I'm your host, Harvey Banks. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so let's start here. Booty. No, I'm just playing. Let's start with the Epstein stuff. If you've been on Earth, I don't know, since 2019, then the name Jeffrey Epstein has probably been just rammed into your mental Rolodex for no fucking reason other than it's a distraction. Or did he kill himself? Or he's not really dead? Or he's got the list. And the list never... I don't think the list ever existed. I'll just say that out from the gate. That way you guys kind of have a little bit of clarity on where I come from on this issue. I never thought the list existed. Literally every conversation I've ever had about some fantasy list with all these pedophiles on it and all these trips they took to this pedophile island, I never thought existed. I always thought that was a front. I always thought that was a distraction, and we can use this distraction for years. If it existed, why would you not just drop the list? There's been times where like it was politically beneficial for Donald Trump to drop the list, and he never actually did it. It's a thing that he promised his base that he was going to do, but he never really jumped towards doing that. And you could say that this one person probably has, you know, a little bit of an incentive to not drop the list if it did exist, because rumor has it his name was all over that list, but he never did that. And so I understand how you may think that that's just one side of it, right? Of course, Donald doesn't want to drop the list because his name's on the list. Well, the Democrats supposedly also had this fictitious list for all these years. And all we kept hearing was, we're going to drop the list and Donald Trump's name is on the list. Well, you had ample opportunity to also drop the list at a time where it would have been very, very beneficial for the Democrats to do so. I don't know, when the fucker's running for president, right? If his name is on the list of pedophiles and you have that smoking gun, aka that list, even if for dramatic effect, you wait until the right time and then you drop that bomb on him and you release the list. Because I will say this about MAGA. Me and MAGA probably don't really agree on a lot. Although, I will say, as of recent, nah, not going to go there yet. Me and MAGA don't really agree on much, but pedophilia seems to be where they've drawn their line at, and I can fuck with that. That's usually something I can get behind too. So they've been very adamant and very vocal about, yeah, we're going to get our guy in here and finally we're going to round up all these pedophiles and we're going to get the names that are on this list and it's going to be public so we can shame them and do what we need to do and then move on to whatever stupid fucking calls we got going on, right? And they got their guy back in. He, by the way, ran on the pledge that he would be getting in, cleaning house, starting with this Epstein list and dropping it so, you know, we can hold those people accountable for their disgusting behaviors. And he got in office and the time for the list to come out came and he was like, guys, there may be a list, there may not be a list. Is the list really important? Why can't we just move on as a country? Move on as a country? His people wasn't going for that. MAGA was like, no. Come on back here real quick. What do you mean move on as a country? You told us for years that this was the thing that you were going to give us because, hey, we're Republicans. We care about our family values and our children and we don't want anybody fucking them. And you told us that you was on that same shit. So we should get the list, no? And he's like, don't worry about the list. So they're all up in arms about, he's not dropping the list. The Democrats are saying nothing again, which common theme there, right? Like, they're just like, yeah, it might not be no list. Well, that's funny because you lied on that same list too a long time ago. All in all, I've come to this conclusion that I would now like to share with you guys so that you can also put Jeffrey Epstein, the list, Epstein Island, and all that other bullshit behind you. Here's the truth. Think of every time you ever seen Jeffrey Epstein in photos and videos, every time you seen him post this shit coming out about him, right? So when the heat of the world was on him before he died or they killed him, every picture he looks stoic in it almost, just like very calm look on his face. He has the look that everything is pretty much going as planned. And I know that some of you probably didn't grow up around crime, or you just don't watch crime documentaries or don't know that much about crime and its history in America. So let me just give you a little bit of knowledge, a little inside game here, right? That man is a fall guy. Jeffrey Epstein at the same time can be a disgusting human being and the fall guy. And what I mean by that is, to me, let's say you don't touch a kid. Let's say you don't provide these kids to these pedophiles, but you still have active and working knowledge of this, or even worse, you provide a safe haven for this shit to happen. You're still a disgusting individual. So you don't get a pass. I don't want people to think I'm defending this fucking idiot. I'm not. I'm just saying I know a fall guy when I see one. He looked in every picture like this thing is going as it's supposed to go. And here's why you build in the fall guy, right? Because if we can continue to produce things that may or may not be true, we can use these things as distractions for the longest time. If I'm knowingly going to commit a crime, and the type of planning that goes into this disgusting crime that they're committing, you think they're not going to have some built-in insurance plan as well for what are we going to do if this shit hits the fan? I believe Epstein was insurance for them. I'm not even convinced he's dead. And I know that's going to probably make me sound like one of these conspiracy theory nuts, because I'm really not that. I just don't know. Like, if you were to tell me, oh yeah, he's actually dead, like this actually happened, and we get some facts that, oh, he's dead. Great. I will literally say, yeah, that makes sense. Still going to say he was the fall guy. Still going to say he was the insurance plan and he's okay. And this thing is going as they all planned it to go. But also, if you were to present me an alternate reality where he was not dead, just alive somewhere under a different alias, or I don't know, back on that fucking island, then I'd be like, yeah, that also makes sense. Because again, he was the insurance and he was the fall guy, and he was very, very comfortable in that role, I believe, because think about this. I don't care who you are. If you're Jeffrey Epstein and the world collectively hates you, the most powerful people in the world apparently want you dead. Oh, and you're facing life sentences and death penalties and all of this shit. And just even if you get life without parole, a fucked up situation to spend the rest of your life in, because you know how they treat those guys in there. You would have some sort of concern on your face, some sort of uncomfortableness, something that says this is a really, really rare position to be in. And I don't know how I'm supposed to be acting or responding. Most of the time they act out. You do nothing. This guy was as calm as they come. That's concerning to me. To me, that tells me, oh, yeah, he knew what to expect, and it's working for him. So I don't give a fuck about Jeffrey Epstein, because I don't think that's the story. I think the story is that dirty old men like young women, and it's disgusting, and it's the way it's been for a long time. And you really need to think to yourself, what is your mindset if it took a list for you to withdraw your support from an idiot? So like, if you're MAGA, all respect to you, and I will always support your right to be MAGA. Even if I don't agree with you, I do believe that you should have the right to do that without persecution, right? So even if you're MAGA and you're saying to yourself, I draw the line at pedophilia, I draw the line at Epstein's list in the island, what made you ignore all the other signs that led up to, hey, there might be a list with his name on it? Guys, he's been showing you this behavior for so long. I didn't need a fucking list to know I probably wouldn't want to have a beer with that guy. I don't drink beer anyways, but I probably wouldn't want to go to a sporting event with that dude. Probably don't want to just hang out with that guy because, I don't know. Let's just run through a couple of them off the top of my head. So I might have some of these details wrong. When he was doing the pageant, what was the pageant? Miss America or whatever. And he was the owner of it. And the girls reported that he would be backstage while they were dressing and undressing. Some of these girls were as young as 15 years old. He was asked about it and was like, yeah, of course I was back there when they were getting dressed and undressed. I own it. That's crazy. That's crazy. He's talking about how his approach with women. And he says, man, when you're rich, you can do whatever you want. A woman's going to just tell her what to do. You can just reach down and just grab the pussy if you want to. Bragging about it. They said that's kind of like locker room talk. It kind of is, but usually we talking about grown-ups, and usually, when you, that's crazy. That's crazy. Then I heard him talk about his daughter being a hot little piece of ass. And I said, yo, dog, that's crazy. Normal men don't talk like that. We don't operate like that. That's what I needed. That's me seeing what I needed to know. Now, I think y'all gave him hell over that Stormy Daniels shit. Y'all mad because he paid for pussy. I think y'all need to leave him alone for that, okay? People have been selling pussy in this country for centuries. It's its own economy, and I think I agree with Joy Taylor when she says that it needs to be decriminalized. That's a whole nother topic for another day that I fully intend on getting in real soon, because that comment on that podcast was crazy. But I kind of agree with her, and I definitely agree with her. We'll get into that another time. But yeah, sidebar over. Like I said, I did not need a list or Jeffrey Epstein or an island to know that Donald Trump is not the type of person that I want to be around. He's not the type of person that I would trust, and he's not the type of person that is fit from a morality standpoint to run a country. And that's coming from a person that is not fit from a morality standpoint to run a country, because I can probably be bribed. Okay? It's fair. I try to keep it fair. That's the truth. Okay, so Sunday evening, I would say, I started to feel like a pain in my shoulder, and it wasn't like the worst pain I ever felt or anything like that. Just a little tinge, like a little something in there, like, ooh, I might have overextended myself, or might have been playing on the floor with my son or something like that and got a little rough and hyperextended something, something small, but I felt it and I was like, that's strange. It kind of hurts at my rotator cuff, whatever, right? I go into the office on Monday, and waking up Monday morning, it really, really hurt. Like, it had gotten to the point where it was stiff, and almost any movement, you really felt it. And then I was like, okay, I think I might have a slight tear in there or something like that. I'm at the office already though, so I'm going on about my day. Busy days on Mondays, so I'm not really. There's no time to just sit and think about my shoulder, so I really don't. I start working. I'm up. I'm in a meeting. I'm doing things, but I'm noticing throughout the day like this shit is getting worse and worse. And it felt so bad on Monday when I woke up that on the way to work, I stopped at Target and bought those stupid little fucking heating pads, like the heat cool things. And I felt like that was going to help me. Newsflash, it didn't help, right? It actually ends up maybe making things worse. You'll see. So yeah, I stop and I buy those. And at the time I'm still thinking like, okay, maybe what happened is I slept on it wrong. Like I kind of heard it and then I slept on it wrong Sunday night as well. That's why it's feeling this bad. Maybe just some ice and some, ibuprofen. I was downing ibuprofen at work, got home, took some more ibuprofen, but the pain seemed to not be going away. Also, it seemed to just get like more and more intense. Monday night, went to go to bed and I could not lay down in a position that was comfortable for nothing. Like it literally felt like I had torn my rotator cuff in half. Like laying down provided so much pressure on it that like other parts of my arm started throbbing and hurting. My neck started hurting. Like it was really, really bad. I didn't sleep at all Monday night. Tuesday's a work from home day for me. So I was at home literally downing Tylenol. Had my wife even go and get me aspirin. It was a bad situation. I'm on Perplexity looking up signs of a stroke, signs of a heart attack. There's no way this is just my arm being messed up because I didn't do anything crazy that would make it feel this way. By the way, I would not advise you do that. If you sick, don't go to the internet with your problems because Lord, it will have you dying within a week. And it did not help my anxiety at all. But I was like, I'll just rest it, put some ice on it, chill out. I'm working from home today anyways. Let me get some ibuprofen, some aspirin in me. Throughout the day, it progressively gets worse and worse. So much so that like Tuesday night, I'm about to go to bed. I get up to go upstairs to go to bed. And I don't know, like the worst pain I think I've felt in a very, very long time. And I get up the stairs. My breathing felt funny. I don't know if that was just the stairs and I'm fat or, situations going on. So then I'm like, oh shit, is this a cardiac event? Am I having two problems at one time? What if I lay down and I don't wake up? So I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to the emergency room. And I think I've said that maybe twice in my life. Like I'm not real big on need to go to the doctor. Just not my thing, right? So I'm like, I go downstairs and I tell my wife, I need you to take me to the ER. So obviously she's panicking, but she can tell that like I'm not a complainer. So I think she understood for him to say that something's wrong. I didn't want to tell her the breathing stuff, the chest got tight and all of that. I think it was anxiety. Plus my blood pressure was high. So she takes me to the hospital. Now, mind you, in the house, it's me and her, our two kids, 3 years old, 6 years old. And she drops me off at the front door. She was going to run across the street and get gas because we needed gas. It's like right across the street from the emergency room. I walk in the emergency room and there's probably 8 people in there in the waiting area. So I shoot her a text and I say, hey, take the kids home. There's no point in them. In my mind, there's no point in them having to sit in a waiting room for hours for me to be seen. Take them home. You can just come back and get me, when I'm done. She's like, okay, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So I check into the hospital. I'm like, cool, give them my information. I go to sit down. So at this hospital, they have like a little triage first. So I'm sitting down. 2 minutes later, they call my name to this little triage room. And I'm like, oh, dope, right? There's no wait at all. This is amazing. Everybody should do this shit. I get in there. They take my blood pressure, my pulse and things like that, temperature. Just a basic quick. At the time, what they were doing was they were triaging me to see where they needed to put me in like order of importance. I didn't know this at the time, but that's what they do, right? So they do that. They give me a little bracelet. They send me back out to the regular waiting room. So I go back out there and I'm sitting there and maybe 45 minutes pass and like a person that came in after me, but she had 2 children with her, went back. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's because she got the kids. They want to get them out of the waiting room because one of them was crying and shit. I understand it's not a big deal. And then people that were in front of me started to slowly get called back. So now at this point, I'm like an hour and a half in, and I'm the only one left from the group that was there when I got there. Multiple people had come in and seemingly skipped me. So I go back up to the counter to the young lady, who's also black, by the way. And that's only important because, like, I'm not a dude that walks around looking for racial situations because I just don't. But it started to feel weird. I live in a pretty affluent suburb. I'm not affluent. Don't get me, but this is where we live. So this hospital is a fairly nice thing. We have fairly nice things here that we don't like to wait for. But there's also just not a lot of people that look like me that live over here, right? So it does come up every now and then, but I just don't really care about shit like that. Let me be honest with you. So yeah, I go up to her. She's black though. And I'm like, yo, what's the system for getting called back to see a doctor? Because I've seen, it's now going on 2 hours, and I've seen people that came here after I did get treatment. And she's like, well, we really don't have a system. But like, okay, I guess we do have a system. I said, what does that mean? And she was like, essentially when you went to get like your triage, they give you a color and they will assign you a color based on the severity of what you're in the hospital or what you're in the ER to do or to need. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But like, is that going to happen all night? Like, if people continue to come in with an issue, am I just never going to be able to see a doctor? And she's like, no, but sometimes it does take longer if we get a lot of issues at once. I got you, right? And I'm like, it's not because I'm black, right? And she was like, no. She laughed. She was uncomfortable. I try to make jokes when people are uncomfortable, and then the jokes end up like, the jokes are also very similar. I know my humor is weird, and so like, I think it made her more like, no, oh my God. But I was like, nah, I'm just playing. She's like, you should get somebody to see you soon. And I'm like, okay, cool. I sat down and it was probably another 30 minutes. Not gonna lie, 2.5 hours to get back to actually see a fucking nurse. But they call my name. I go back. They take me to this other little room just past the doors. I shit you not. I get in there. They take my blood pressure, have me sit on the scale. I'm like, hey, they already did this triage shit out there. I'm about to triage and have to wait again? Because at this point, I was literally thinking, I'll just go home. Fuck it. And she's like, oh, no. She's like, well, if it's been over a certain amount of time, we like to check your vitals again. I said, oh, okay, cool. My fault. Probably shouldn't have snapped off like that. But at this point, it's 11:30 at night, right? So yeah. So she walked me. She's like, okay, you're going to be in bed number 3 over here. And I'm just looking like on the walls for the room numbers. And I'm not really seeing it. But I am seeing these beds literally in the hallway. And they put me in a bed in the middle of the hallway, directly in front of the nurse's station, out in the open. It's like an overflow zone. Man, when I tell you I was ready to fight, but I knew I couldn't fight because I knew my shoulder's fucked up and I can't fight. And also, I just really need some medicine at this point, so I'm not going to act crazy. But I was so pissed off. It was so degrading. Like, not even like, not on no race shit or nothing like that. Just from a standpoint of like, this the level of care that we giving people? Like, I'm sitting here on this bed, looking directly across me is the nurse's station. She's having her lunch and talking to her friends. They got another dude in the hallway who looks dead already. Like, old man shriveled up. I shit you not. I'm not trying to make this up. I even told my wife about it. I was like, yo, that's crazy. He's just laid over there on a monitor, bro. Literally looking like he's just waiting to die. But we don't want to put him in a room because why would we put him in a room if we don't need to? We probably, yeah, it's crazy. The lady that's actually in the room to the left of me is going nuts, screaming, I'm dying in here. The nurses And the doctors are reacting to her so funny, like they're so used to her bullshit. Like maybe she's a regular and I just don't know the situation. Cause like one of the doctors goes in and she's like, I gotta pee. And they're like, you're hooked up to a catheter. You can go ahead and go pee. I'm dying. So one of the doctors walks out, and as he's taking his gloves off, he says, we're all dying, Sharon. It's only a dance, so who's gonna get there first? Throws the gloves in the trash and then walks on to the next room and is like, all right, what do we got here? It was the funniest shit ever. But it was so like casual that something about this process to me just felt insensitive. Like it didn't feel like care, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. So a residential student pretty much comes over to me and he's like giving me a small assessment, which no disrespect to him, because I did feel like he was knowledgeable. He had great bedside manners. Really solid. Like, yeah, I felt like he could help me with my issue. So he comes over, he does some tests on the shoulder, has me squeeze his arms, and he's like, can you lift your arms? And I'm like, no, it doesn't lift up. Then he's like, okay, raise your hand and do this. And I'm like, nigga, the arm doesn't lift. And he's like, oh, you don't have any range of motion this way or that way. And he's like, is it an injury? Any chance it's dislocated? You don't have any. And I'm like, no, that's why I'm telling you. Like, and he's like, okay, so we're going to get you a CT scan and an x-ray. I was like, cool. He's like, somebody's going to come and get you to take you back there. Cool. I'm just sitting here in the middle hanging out with the nurses. One of them walked by. I ain't tell my wife this. One of them nurses walked by. The jiggle and that wiggle. You can't produce that. Like, I read something sometime, or no, I heard on the podcast they were saying that like when as far as like affairs and fucking goes amongst employees, that the hospitals, these nurses are the worst ones at it. And by worst, I mean best. That's just me. And I get it now. I was like, what? You just walking around like that? But that's just the outfit. If you got ass and scrubs, like, yo, that shit is crazy. But anyways, that's where the ass is hiding at. It's in the hospital. You just gotta go to the hospital, bro. Go to the ER. Put up with the bullshit. You might get to see some ass. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, they come and get me. They take me. They do the CT scan, the x-ray. CT scan, not fun. Big nigga sliding into a machine. It was scary. X-ray was terrible. The nice young lady did try to explain to me, hey, this is going to really hurt because I'm going to have to move your shit to get a good picture of it. And oh my God, it felt so bad. But she was like, I'm going to make sure that they got a room for you when we get done with this so I can put you somewhere, not just in the hallway. And I'm like, okay, you know what? That's validation that's not normal behavior. That this shit is not, I'm not crazy for thinking this was weird, right? So she gets me a room. We head back. She drops me off in the room. I'm in excruciating pain at this point. Homeboy comes in with some extra strength Tylenol, some Toradol, and a shot. He's like, hey, you want some pain medicine? Joking. And I'm just looked at him like, nigga, come on. You see me in here about to cry. And so I get the shot of Toradol, I get the Tylenol. The pain starts to subside. He comes in a little bit later and he's like, I got some pictures to show you. It's my x-rays, right? And he's like, spinal, good. Neck, good. Look at this shoulder, your left shoulder, good. This is how the shoulder should look. He's like, let me show you the right side. Shows me the right side, and like there's this regular shoulder, regular what you would expect. But outside of it, just here, he's like, now look at that stuff there. There's bone fragment, or what he believed to be bone fragments just kind of floating out there. He's like, yeah, these are bone fragments, what I believe, or calcites, I think he was calling it. He was like, it's kind of common. It's probably what's causing you the discomfort. I'm like, no, nigga, duh. And he's like, but I want to send this off to a specialist that we have down at Methodist, and he's in now. They'll look at it, and I can kind of give you some more before we just send you out of here. So they send it. That guy comes back. Apparently, he said that it was cloudy as well. He's like, so that could be tumor. That could be a lot of things. He's like, sometimes these bone fragments aren't like, doesn't have the cloudiness around it. He's like, but you never know. Sends it to the guy. The guy gets back pretty quickly and was like, hey, that looks like bone fragments, and that's what we're dealing with. Could be calcium deposits, could be a lot, but that's your problem there. He needs to be seen by orthopedics. And so they gave me another, like some more Tylenol, and then they was asking me if I wanted a prescription for the opioids, and I don't do that because I'm pussy and I'm not about to play that game. So I was like, nah, I'm good. He's like, they put it in a sling and was like, just make the appointment with the orthopedics. Cool. So next day I call to make the appointment with the orthopedics. I don't get a call back. This was Wednesday. Friday, today, is the first time they finally called me back and was like, hey, if you want to go to the one that's close to your house, I got someone that could see you about possibly getting surgery. Not even the surgery scheduling. I got somebody that could see you with your follow-up maybe next Thursday. But if you don't mind coming over to the town that neighbors us, it's not really a town. It's not that far. It's close to about the equal distance. She's like, if you don't mind coming over here, I can get you in as early as Monday. So what do you want to do? And I'm like, obviously Monday, like my shit is still hurting. Although the pain is not as bad as it was, I still don't have any range of motion up this way. And so, yeah, I got that scheduled. So Monday I go and we got to figure out what we're going to do about this. Luckily my job is fucking dope and I've been able to just work from home and seamlessly this stuff translates. But yeah, it just had me thinking a lot. Like, people that don't have resources and how they get treated or looked at when it comes to like medical institutes and like the institutes of medicine and healthcare in this country. And I try not to go down those roads because I get sad. That's why I be making inappropriate jokes just to not be sad. But it's kind of fucked up out here. I ain't gonna lie to you. And it really, really has made me this week actually develop a plan for my health, because I had already had plans on getting in better shape. But now like it really, really opened my eyes to some things that being 38 years old, I probably shouldn't be dealing with, but I was an athlete. So like, it's funny because the resident doctor was like, are you 38? So you played sports too? You probably got like 3 good years left in them knees. You ain't trying to get shoulder replacements and knee replacements. You need to drop some weight. Make it easier on yourself. And I'm like, no, he's fucking right. And he actually rubbed my belly as he like jiggled in my shit as he said it. I wanted to smack him. And I'm just playing. I didn't. I was like, no, you're right. You know what I'm saying? So it did open my eyes to that. So I'm excited to like continue down that journey. I've been studying a bunch of shit the last couple of days just to try to get in better health. And my advice to you guys is the same. Take your health serious. Take your mental health as serious as you take your physical health, because none of this shit matter if you're not going to be around. I think that's a good note to end it on. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe, because I really do appreciate that shit. I'm trying to grow this thing, trying to continue to show up here for you guys. To my OGs that are still listening on podcasts, that's my favorite. You guys hold a special place in my heart. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you might be listening, go ahead and give this a 5-star rating. Let these tech companies know that this is the type of content that you like to consume when you don't give a fuck about Epstein and you're just looking for the real booties out here.